sending this live or no?
Yes.
Most of this. All right.
I couldn't tell if you were giving explanation or
I usually love if I'm singing.
everybody ready?
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a good day. As I'm sure you've heard already. At approximately 10:20 this morning, our suspect in the Kelly Phillips homicide, Lyle Ty Hoffman, was apprehended by Shakopee Police Department after a concerned citizen had called reporting suspicious activity. He was seen in the area of the Southbridge Shopping Center. Ty Hoffman was arrested without incident by officers of the Shakopee PD, and I want to make a special thanks to Chief Tate and his department for their professionalism and doing such a good job of apprehending the suspect that we've been looking for, as you know, 4 weeks now to the day. With me today are some of the principals, state, local, federal law enforcement officials that have helped us so much in not only investigation but the apprehension efforts. Chief Chris Olsen from the Blaine PD, who, as you know, there was a bank robbery in his city in which we had identified Ty Hoffman as the primary suspect. From the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, our primary partner in the investigation of the homicide, Superintendent Wade Setter. We're so fortunate to have in our backyard the top criminal apprehension unit and our criminal investigative unit and crime lab in the state right here a few miles away, and they've been just phenomenal partners in cases. From the U.S. Marshals Service, who've helped us immensely in the apprehension efforts in the last few weeks, we have Sharon Lubinsky, United States Marshal, and her supervisory deputy, Chris Clifford. Also helping us from the FBI throughout the last couple weeks, and not only the bank robbery investigation, but also apprehension efforts, being there hand in glove with us throughout the whole time, as were the other partners in trying to locate Ty Hoffman. Special thanks to all of them. In terms of defining some of the roles, just to be clear again, Ramsey County Sheriff's Office and the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension have been the primary agencies in investigating the homicide of Kelly Phillips, along with other agencies that have been in a support role. And then in terms of the bank robbery, it's been Blaine Police Department and the FBI. And then of course, all those agencies, as well as several others that I'd like to take the opportunity to name now, have helped us in the last few weeks in the apprehension efforts. That includes the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, Minneapolis Police, Minnesota State Patrol, Metro Transit Police, Prior Lake PD, Bloomington PD, Anoka County Sheriff's Office, the Scott County Sheriff's Office, St. Paul Police Department, Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, Washington County Sheriff's Office, all of which were helping us last week during that major tactical search that we're doing through the woods by giving us some tactical units to use throughout the day. And also Mason City Police Department, Iowa, that has helped us as well. And special thanks to the Shakopee and Milwaukee Sioux community, who have been instrumental in some of the events and information that we developed in the recent week here. And I'd like to also give a special thanks to our neighbors to the north, the Ontario Provincial Police, that have helped us run out several leads when we had information that Ty Hoffman may have gone to Canada as well. We also had some assistance from some really good private sector partners, to include Target, Cup Foods, Boston Scientific, Crime Stoppers, the Council on Crime and Justice. And I want to also put a special thanks out to the friends and loved ones of Kelly Phillips, who throughout the last month or so have been very instrumental in helping us, providing us ideas, clues, information on this investigation and apprehension efforts. As you probably know by now, Lyle Ty Hoffman has been charged in a sealed complaint with second-degree murder. Subsequent charges are likely from other jurisdictions. One thing I do want to put out, we did not locate the weapon at this point. We're still looking for a Glock semi-automatic handgun. It's camouflage color, brown camouflage color. We believe probably in the Shakopee area. We're doing some extensive searches now, and again, listening to the support of our law enforcement partners in Shakopee, Scott County, and Bloomington. We hope to find that weapon, but we want to put out to the public, if you do see a weapon on the ground or anything else suspicious that may be related to this apprehension effort, please call 911 right away. Do not touch it for safety and evidentiary reasons, and stay with it, just so no children or anybody gets near it, potentially hurt themselves. I also want to thank the public for remaining very vigilant the last few weeks, as well as you, the media, for keeping this story fresh. It's been critical that you've kept us on the minds and thoughts of the public out there. And in this particular case, where we rely so much on technology in this day and age, usually electronic technology, that isn't how we found them. We found them through good old-fashioned means, and that was listening to public support and calling us with numerous leads, numerous tips, many of which, of course, didn't pan out, but that's police work. We'll chase down 1,000 leads, and if one's right, we still win. And in this case, we won with the help of a concerned citizen that was able to provide us the information they saw today. So once again, thank you, both the public and the media. And also, just closing, I just want to remind everybody that though we've been consumed with the apprehension efforts here with Ty Hoffman in the last few weeks, keep in mind this was a homicide investigation, a very tragic taking of a life, and please keep the Phillips family and loved ones in your thoughts and prayers. I'll entertain some questions now. We're not going to go deep into any type of investigative questions because it is an ongoing investigation, so some things I may not be able to answer. Yes?
Janice Shortle, Care 11. Are you able to say at all, if you have any idea, if Mr. Hoffman has stayed in the metro area this entire time?
It appears that he has. Yeah, there are indications from just some of the events in the last couple of weeks indicate that he has stayed between Blaine and Shakopee, Prior Lake, and in the metro area. And before I go any further, I need to also introduce my boss, Sheriff Matt Bosco, who is here as well today with us. Sorry about that. That's probably the last person I should forget.
Chief Deputy Kirkwood, can you tell us, I know that you've had some time interrogating or at least interviewing Mr. Hoffman. Is he being cooperative, and is he giving you any indication of how he was able to evade capture for a month? Was he helped in any way?
At this point, I don't want to discuss any events having to do with the interview process with Mr. Hoffman.
Lori Glover from Channel 9, there were reports that there was tainted money or painted money recovered in Shakopee. Do you know if that indeed came from Mr. Hoffman and has that been tied to him, I guess?
We don't know for certain that it has, but you're accurate that we have had some reports of what appear to be die-back money from the bank robbery, tainted money with red ink, and that's been one of the very helpful tips that we've been following the last few weeks, helping us track and try to locate his position.
Chief Deputy Joshua Roosevelt from Channel 5, do you believe that there'll be anyone else arrested in connection with this case?
At this point, anything's possible. We still are not convinced that somebody wasn't helping him. That's always a possibility. If in fact that is the case and somebody was assisting him, again, as I mentioned before, they're facing not only potential state charges for aiding and abetting, but possibly federal charges as well for harboring a fugitive. And we strongly encourage anyone with any information as to his whereabouts the last few weeks, or in fact, if you were helping him, to come forward, because we're eventually going to find out if somebody was helping him.
Safe to say you have no suspects at this time?
Not at this point, no.
Nicole Murphy, Star Tribune. Can you share if Hoffman has made any confession to police or anything of that nature?
As I just mentioned to the other gentleman, we're not going to discuss today's interview or any of the events from today post-arrest.
Chief Deputy Channel 5, could you recap how he came to be captured today?
Again, a concerned citizen saw an individual acting suspicious in the area of the shopping center down there, the shopping mall, near an Arby's actually. Apparently she had seen pictures, was vigilant enough to call police and say this guy looks very suspicious, looks like Ty Hoffman. Officers arrived immediately and were able to identify him and take him into custody without incident.
And his physical condition?
Looks pretty good. Actually, he's looks healthy and appears to be in good physical condition.
A question I had, for the last 4 weeks, it's been worrisome that this could go down in gunfire. He was evading police, he perhaps robbed a bank, he murdered his ex-partner, and then it all winds up in an Arby's parking lot It was going down in gunfire, something that you guys had talked about, that you knew you were facing someone that was armed and dangerous?
Well, yeah, it's always your concern, especially when he showed actions of desperation, such as a bank robbery, to come up with resources and money as he did. That's always been on our minds. That's why we've approached every situation so carefully with tactical teams and everything else. And we're certainly concerned about that, and we're very thankful that it didn't happen that way and it ended peacefully without anyone else being hurt or injured.
Would you say
say killing him, would you say that Ty Hoffman is cooperating?
I don't want to comment on that at this time.
John, will the reward money be paid out in what caliber block?
I really don't. That's not going to be up to me specifically. It's an area I'm not real familiar with, but eventually my guess is that it will be. I don't want to comment on that part now this early into the process.
And the caliber of the handgun?
It was a 45.
Just in terms of the intensity of the manhunt, how relieved from police agencies are you folks?
Oh, we're very relieved. I think all of us, I can speak on behalf of all our partners here and our deputies and staff and all law enforcement in this area that just it's such a diligent effort trying to locate him. Everybody's very relieved. Anytime you have somebody that's at large with a handgun and has already shown signs of desperation, it's a good day for us.
Just to be clear, that bank robbery, he's still just a suspect. You're not saying it was in fact Ty Hoffman, or?
Well, true, and as you know, in our society, it's presumed this until proven guilty. He's still a suspect in the homicide as well. But yes, that's correct.
How difficult would you say this was? I mean, 4 weeks until you found him. How trying?
Oh, very trying. A lot of resources went into it, a lot of hours, a lot of sleepless nights for a lot of people trying to find him. Very difficult case trying to locate him. Law enforcement.
With the large manhunts that happened on a couple days, do you believe that you had any near misses? Any reason to believe that he was close by?
Yes, we were very close a couple of times, and that's why it was so important today. It was a perfect example of a member of the public doing the right thing, calling us, not feeling they're going to disturb us or bother us by calling 911. We get calls all the time for all sorts of things. We had several instances early on, even after the bank robbery, where people saw him, and even saw red, what appeared to be blood on his back, or turned out to be the dye pack, and never called. They told us about it the next day, but never called because they thought they might be, for whatever reason. So it's so important for the public not to worry about notifying law enforcement when they think something doesn't look right. It's kind of the old see something, say something adage. We'd rather be wrong 100 times than right once, and that's what's important. That's what we do.
To be caught the way he was, do you believe he was tired of running?
I mentioned that in one of the earlier interviews that my experience in years of law enforcement is you eventually catch some of these people and they're almost like, relieved. I'm glad you finally caught me. I'm tired of looking over my shoulder, changing phones and everything else. And I wasn't there personally. I don't know what his reaction was, but my sense is that him going so peacefully as he did, that could be a safe assumption.
Can you say why he might have been in the Shakopee area or what drove him there?
I don't know for sure, other than it was close to an area he was believed to have been in about a week ago, which was Fire Lake.
Walking through an Arby's drive-thru doesn't sound like a good way to not get caught. Do you think he was ready for this time?
I have no idea what he was thinking, but it is a little bit unusual.
Do you have any idea how he was getting around? Did you guys find a car nearby or anything, or do you think public transportation?
We're still working on that, but we're leaning towards public transportation, and as I mentioned earlier, Metro Transit has been a vital partner in this and helping us identify some of this movement. So that is an area that we're looking at.
Tim Nelson from NPR. Do you have any other evidence, like video from buses or surveillance video from the holiday station nearby or anything like that gives you any clue as to how he got around or who might have been with him?
At this point, Tim, I don't want to talk about actual evidence that we have since it is pending judicial action. So, but we do have some really significant information from, again, Metro Transit that has helped us.
What happens next?
Well, the court process takes place. He'll have an initial appearance or initial hearing tomorrow, and then we'll go forward with the prosecutive stage of it. We'll continue with our investigation as well, not only hoping to find the weapon, additional evidence, and in fact somebody was in fact helping him.
John, an eyewitness down there today described it to us as appearing very casual, seeing the one female officer from Shakopee talking to Hoffman. Is that a fair assessment of kind of how casual it was, that he offered no resistance, that he was unarmed, and put up no fight?
I don't know what that interaction was. Just in talking with the Shakopee police and the chief, they had taken him into custody. I don't know what the what the interaction was. So I can't really comment on that part of it.
And I'm guessing, is he just going to be staying here until his court proceedings? Or is he
Yes, he'll be held here at the Ramsey County Jail Detention Center in the Law Enforcement Center here.
Any sort of unique treatment? Will he be held in isolation? Will he be held housed just like a regular inmate?
At this point, I'd rather not comment on that part of it.
Do you know if he has an attorney yet?
I don't know, but I assume he probably has. I'm not sure if he has been appointed attorney or if he's hired an attorney. I would assume at this point he would. Does anybody else have any questions of the reporters? Thanks. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not going to be able to get out. I didn't think of that. John, is it traditional spelling? We always.
Yes.
I have to look back at our video.
What the hell is up?
Good to see you.
You're just kicking ass. I gotta make sure I work down cutaways into the piece. Excellent. I know, I saw that. Big God shot.